Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively rare rock-water type Pokemon Kabuto and its exceptionally rare evolution Kabutops, collectively known as the Shellfish Pokémon. Though hard to come by and even harder to capture, the members of the Kabuto family are potent beasts that can go from a placid lifestyle to one of a dangerous predator in only a single leap in evolution.
Kabuto have round bodies with a thick brown carapace on their back and a darker black underside where their four small clawed yellow limbs hide. They have a pair of black eyes on the top of their form that they use to see most of their environment, but also sport a pair of large glowing red eyes on their underside that they use for infrared vision. Their evolved form Kabutops have a far more humanoid stance to their brown bodies, with a plated, light brown series of breastplates and spines that run down their back before ending in a telson. They stand on human-like segmented legs and feet with two grey claws each, and their head has a semicircular shape that protects their black eyes and grants them a very streamlined shape from the front back. Their most notable feature, however, easily has to be their front appendages, which have developed into a pair of massive, sickle-shaped blades used for cutting apart prey items to get access to their internal liquids. The members of the Kabuto family are amongst a select group of Pokemon that are known primarily for their need to be resurrected from fossils in order to be brought to life, specifically dome fossils. But at the same time, it is interesting to note that Kabuto, at the very least, never actually went extinct. They have instead existed in a few scant isolated locations in the world, but it is important to note that these variants seem to have lost the capacity to evolve, meaning that only those resurrected from fossils are able to actually reach their intended adult state.
Their global distribution makes this relationship even more curious, as they are plentiful in Ordovician age rocks, but are found in such a wide variety of locales that it's hard to pin down their exact occurrence rate globally outside of knowing that they tend to dwell in warm oceanic environments.
These beasts are believed to be closely related to horseshoe crabs, at least in a larval state, their adult forms more closely resembling creatures than the abnormal class Chasmatopsida, whose phylogeny is still not well understood, and are noted for the tough exoskeletons that protect them from attack. Most claws and teeth will just bounce right off of their outer shell and leave them no worse for the wear. While these creatures do seem to possess both lungs and gills that allow them to breathe in both environments, Kabuto tend to stay in the water for most of their life, only coming ashore for mating season. On the opposite end, their evolved form Kabutops live primarily on land and only go into the water to hunt for prey, making for a very curious lifestyle as a whole. Both of these creatures, though, are able to make good use of their forms to defend themselves with and make the most of their aquatic habitats, as they can either have swift swim or battle armor as base abilities, while those that have more brittle shells than normal may instead end up with weak armor as a hidden ability. And looking at their stats, in the case of Kabutops, it can be said that their bodies are not exactly built for long-term engagements, as their overall stamina is relatively limited, and their special offenses and defenses are fairly unimpressive, so their base HP, special attack, and special defense stats are below average for a fully evolved rock and water type Pokemon. On the other hand though, they are deceptively agile on their feet and are able to make good use of their hard shells and appendages to deal notable physical trauma to those that get in their way, so their base defense stat is above average for a fully evolved water type Pokemon, and the base attack and speed stats are above average for a fully evolved Pokemon of both of their types.
This allows these creatures to go toe-to-toe with just about any physical fighter and have a notable chance at dealing some damage, something that their somewhat terrifying front appendages and overall form more than suggest on their own.
Kabuto are fairly limited in regards to the type of offenses they have at their disposal, typically not learning any strong attacks until after the point of natural evolution, but this doesn't seem to bother them too much, as they're able to use their shells to defend themselves quite readily from attack, and typically exist as weak predators and scavengers anyways, feeding on small crustaceans and the leftover scraps and food material of others, or even being parasitic by attaching themselves to larger creatures and feasting on their blood and other vital liquids in order to sustain themselves. They typically can do this while staying still on the ocean floor, using the small black eyes in the upper body to see around them in strong color vision and detect when something is approaching that might attempt to harm them. If this happens, they will plant themselves firmly onto the surface of the ground or rock they are on, and will hold on for dear life and let their shells take the brunt of any oncoming attack while they keep their soft underbelly protected, which is important because if they are flipped over, they have an exceptionally hard time righting themselves again. If they are stuck in dark or murky conditions, however, or otherwise need to intimidate another organism, these beasts will use their legs to raise up and reveal their underside, which contains a pair of glowing red eyes that use infrared vision to see through such conditions, and their look more than makes them otherwise unassuming arthropods a bit terrifying to most. Thankfully for these creatures, the limited anatomy they do have more than does what they needed to do and is more than observable in their fossil record, as their body forms have remained virtually identical in form and function since they first appeared in the fossil record 300 million years ago. Kabutops represent a unique opportunity in science to study habitat change, as the evolution from Kabuto shows a clear attempt to transition from a life in the water to life on land, as unlike their pre-evolved form, these creatures walk on a pair of legs not just made for walking on rugged terrain, but for doing so in an upright position, something that simply wouldn't make sense if they were still primarily water dwellers. As such, it is believed that these creatures, as evidenced by this and changes in the form of their gills and larger lungs, were in the midst of transitioning into a life on land, but went extinct for unknown reasons before the transition could be completed.
As it stands currently, these creatures spend much of their time on land, but when it comes time for them to feed, they will always return to the water to hunt for prey, oftentimes building their nests not too far from a body of water with a sustainable population of prey items.
When it comes time to feed, these creatures will dive into the shallow marine environments they typically prefer to dwell near, and will tuck in their front appendages and wiggle their bodies rapidly in order to undulate through the water. Despite how silly this might look, it serves them well, as their head is shaped to be extremely aerodynamic, and they can propel their large bodies at a speed of up to 29 knots. In battle and while out hunting, these creatures use their front appendages as their primary means of attack, as they have grown from simple claws into massive sickle-shaped blades that are razor-sharp and capable of cutting through unarmored opponents with ease, and even lightly armored foes with little trouble, which further grants them access to the slash attack immediately after evolving, as well as moves like Night Slash and Feint. When they come across a suitable prey item, these beasts will use their blades to slice into them deeply, feeding on the vital fluids of their prey item and effectively drinking them dry or until they otherwise get their fill. This can make these already terrifying creatures a nightmare to watch feed, and more than adds to the air of intimidation they give off that makes them some of the most feared predators in warm tropical oceanic environments.
Though they might not look all that intimidating before evolution, the members of the Kabuto family are fearsome predators that will gladly hunt down any living creature they can find in the water, and possibly on land, with the utmost efficiency and brutality. You might have to go through the trouble of resurrecting a dome fossil in order to make the most of them, but the effort can be more than worth it once you witness the power they have at their disposal in close quarters.
Do yourself a favor and give these arthropods a wide berth when they hit the battlefield. Get a little too close to them, and winning a battle will be the least of your concerns if you get in the way of their attacks and end up losing a limb or something worse in the process. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
No.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.